ready meal in Waitrose that I keep thinking about. It's called Charlie Bigham's Tuscan pork ragu and costs just under £10 for a two-person serving. There's a lot of indefensibly middle-class ready meals in Waitrose, but there's something different about this one. Something that's hard to pin down. In late 2014, I started a master's in anthropology of food at the School of Oriental and African Studies. While there, I spent a lot of time going on walks, exploring London, people watching. People in London don't try to talk to you most of the time, but on one occasion a woman stopped me in the street near the campus and asked me to help her draft an application to work at SOAS. She was some sort of academic and was from Spain, I think. And despite not really wanting to do it, due to my anxiety around interacting with strangers, I agreed. She bought me a coffee while I edited her application email and searched for the right address to send it to. With a little of the coffee remaining, I summoned my courage and asked about her PhD, which she had recently completed. She said a few things that were quite hard to pin down, and then, pausing, looked right at me and said, "We are entering an age of violence." I think 11 years later, it's inarguable that she had a point. When placed within the sweep of history, this is a comparatively peaceful time to live in, and yet, due to a complication of factors, it doesn't feel like that. Violence may not be everywhere, but it feels everywhere, on our screens, across the globe, in our rhetoric, in the direction our country is heading. And I suppose there's a sense, growing by the day, that the foundations of the post-war consensus are shattered, that broad swaths of the Western world have descended into frothing, conspirational hate, and that, in essence, this will never change. For many years the violence that powered our nation had been outsourced. Slave labour in distant factories, proxy wars on distant battlefields, proxy genocides performed with proxy weaponry in distant towns and villages, intertwined with these Byzantine systems of government welfare and security at home that laundered cruelty under the guise of fiscal responsibility or staving off the risk of an even crueler party being elected. Perhaps it was always doomed. Just the other day I saw a video on my Instagram feed commemorating the 19 people killed in the Torquay pontoon disaster, and opened the 100 or so comments to find that they all said broadly the same thing. October 15th, 9:30 a.m. I'm going to kill myself on Facebook Live. June 12th, 3:27 p.m. I'm going to kill myself on Facebook Live. December 19th, 1 p.m. I'm going to kill myself on Facebook Live. I wasn't sure if this was some sort of TikTok thing that young people were doing, some joke so divorced from its original context that its senselessness and repetition was, at this point, the sole purpose driving it. I googled it but couldn't find anything. I keep seeing that now. You can't Google things anymore. We've gone back to the mystery. But what does any of this have to do with ready meals, gourmet or otherwise? I suppose the worse things get, the more hateful it seems to me to cling to the trappings of that dead world. We are surrounded by incongruities, these creaking financial systems which, if needed, figures of authority can sit us down and explain, but in practice make no sense. Hence the £10 price tag of the Charlie Bigham's Tuscan pork ragu, and why rent costs half your paycheck, and why pints cost £7. I worry about losing myself. I've been feeling quite unmoored recently. I think there's a stress that's everywhere and there's a stress that's inside me. And both of them are ratcheted way up. Things are setting me off and my attempts to limit that panic and spiralling don't seem to be working. I feel quite apocalyptic at points. I see violence everywhere now. An AI podcasting company called Futurescope launched in the summer, with its owners promising to flood the markets with thousands of hours of content a month, all written and voiced by AI. Shows about gardening, finance, politics, history, news, churned out with barely a second of human oversight. It was in one of these podcasts, a true crime show, Murder Most Foul, that AI host Courtney Case told readers she had cracked the long unsolved 2012 murder of Meredith Santini, and that Meredith's boyfriend, Colin Hacknell, who claimed that he was out of the country when it happened, was in fact lying about his work trip to Dresden. The episode was released, downloaded, regurgitated and shared across other true crime shows, across YouTube videos, across social media posts, and by the time the police cleared up that Colin was in fact within Dresden when the murder took place, and Futurescope issued a statement lamenting the lapse, a statement, it's worth noting, clearly written by AI. It was too late. A crowd of 19 people, men and women, stoked into a blind rage by a series of TikTok videos further speculating about Colin's involvement in the crime, and alleging a series of business meetings between him and Jeffrey Epstein, had broken into his South Shields flat and beaten him to death with his furniture. When, at her trial, 38-year-old Mary Porter was confronted with the fact that she had beaten Colin so severely that his brain matter was found on the leg of the IKEA Lacanis table she had used as a makeshift weapon, she showed no remorse, insisting that the evidence against Colin was overwhelming, and that the UK police force was part of a vast international conspiracy to suppress it. I remember thinking as a teenager that one of the impacts of the internet would be the end of disinformation, in its instant retrieval of all information, in its ability to puncture the narratives of propaganda and state-owned media, even in its power to challenge the obvious flaws in a more open and free system such as our own. Instead, it's all fallen apart, and we share a world with people who increasingly believe things that are outright ludicrous, embarrassing even. It's become easier than ever to build this funnel of hate and stupidity firing directly into your own face, and people have lined up across all ages, genders, nations and classes to gain unfettered access. I don't think we can ever go back. The people buying and eating Charlie Bigham Tuscan pork ragus are probably much the same. The divorced dads riding a wave of Facebook and YouTube invective towards the darker pits of conspiracy, crypto scams, far-right extremism. The mothers finding newfound purpose in the spreading of vaccine disinformation, colloidal silver supplements, MLM schemes. The business professionals tiptoeing towards fascism, their algorithm guiding them from common sense politics to flag enthusiasm to great replacements. What unnerves me the most is how utterly ill-equipped every aspect of society has been at handling these threats. When confronted with all this violence, all this chaos and disarray, it's clear that these limping structures are utterly at odds with the world we live in now, and wholly incapable of stopping this rising tide. I've tried not to place so much emphasis on these thoughts, but it's bled out into my day-to-day life. Everything feels like a signal at the moment. A BT video billboard outside of the H&M reads, "These can all be signs of modern slavery." A man sat outside CEX takes alternating sips from a bottle of Captain Morgan's and a can of Scrumpy Jacks. I watch an AI-generated video of a car driving along a mountain road and scroll down to see that the top comment reads, "Porn will never be the same again." A disembodied doctor's face on a screen tells me I have autism. An old man makes a cardboard bed for himself outside of a gourmet fudge shop. An old woman on the bus asks if I want to see a photo of her grandson and, when I reluctantly say yes, proceeds to show me what is clearly an AI image. It's too much. I feel, simultaneously, like I need to do something about this teeming, titanic lunacy that's overrun us, but also that there is nothing I can do, no pathway to meaning, so that I'd just be beating my head against the wall. For we now live within the marketplace of ideas, a sweltering cesspit, where hate and reason swill despairingly within the Tuscan pork ragu of economics, politics, culture and social interaction. It's deadening, watching the powers that be nervously turn up the thermostat in the oven of hatred in the hopes that they will somehow tempt away support from the I Heart Racism Party. Because we're all suffering. The last 10 years has felt like being placed within the oven at 200 degrees for 30 minutes and served, perhaps with a small side salad and a few glasses of red wine, to a not-so-young professional within their cramped £1,400 a month rental unit. The last 10 years has felt like being mixed with a range of spices and topped with cheese, before being shunted across the country in a van and placed on a fridge shelf in a middle-class location. The last 10 years has felt like being eaten, digested, and excreted, a fleeting, expensive distraction within a forgettable life. I see violence everywhere, on my feeds and screens, bubbled up in my algorithms, served up by legacy corporations flailing to understand the earth that shifted beneath their feet. It's not something I can turn away from despite my best efforts. This shrill harmony of chaos and destruction, with connections, like angel numbers, linking them together. This daisy chain of horrors. 19 British servicemen disappear while on a routine patrol in Mali. An Uber Eats driver accelerates through the window of a Doncaster McDonald's, injuring 19 people before being wrestled from his e-bike. A tidal wave within the Cornish peninsula claims the lives of 19 holidaymakers. A small explosive is delivered by drone to the Shetland island of Vemetry, killing the sole resident, Maria Hastings, 78, alongside her 19 stray cats. 19 people are killed in a grease fire at the Cardiff Pontins. This family classic is the perfect midweek treat, especially when paired with a glass of Chianti. In Southend-on-Sea, 19 people are killed when monsoon gales detach a Ferris wheel at a local fete. A pontoon in Torquay capsizes at high tide, killing all 19 of its passengers. 19 teenagers spontaneously combust while on a school trip to a Welsh castle. A Novichok poisoning at the 2025 Home and Garden Show leaves 19 dead. 19 people are killed in a train derailment near Manchester. Charlie Bigham's Tuscan pork ragu. 19 teenagers spontaneously combust while on a school trip to a Welsh castle. A spate of grave robberies affects 19 London cemeteries. None of the exhumed remains are ever found. Available now at Waitrose. A bus driver deliberately crashes into a Fitness First, killing himself and injuring the 19 attendees of mid-morning Zumba. A bug within the new Go update marks dual carriageways as gyms, leading to 19 serious incidents across British roads within the first day. I Heart Racism MP Richard Nicholas promises to execute 19 criminals on his first day as Prime Minister. Delivered to your door by Uber Eats or Deliveroo. 19 teenagers spontaneously combust while on a school trip to a Welsh castle. You receive an emergency call. Tomatoes, rigatoni pasta, pork, onions. Arriving in the ambulance, sirens blaring, but there's nothing to transport. Tomato puree, cheddar cheese, honey. Outside the minibus the driver is dazed, staring into the distance and unable to form words. Parmigiano Reggiano, flour, capers, extra virgin olive oil. Inside the bus everything is coated in viscera, garlic, chicken stock, rapeseed oil, salt, most of it so minute that you'd struggle to identify what part of the body it was. Red pepper flakes, fennel seeds, parsley. There are shreds of clothing, cracked mobile phones, shoes ripped open like exploded bombs, rosemary, sage, thyme, chilies, yeast. It's not clear what happened, coriander, or why, white pepper, but everyone on board is gone. Although we do our very best to take out all the bones, some may remain.